Yeah, we've been in constant contact with his agents. We had productive conversations yesterday. We have some more scheduled today, so we'll continue to communicate with them. Some of it's was in person and then over the phone, and then yesterday was in person, and it'll be in person again today. So yeah, we'll continue to hammer out, try to get closer to getting something done. Hopefully.
Is there a order of operations dealing with the quarterback and dealing with the running back or the star running back like
Not right now. We've had productive conversations with both the representatives. Saquon going all the way back to November, and we'll continue to do so. But there's not priority on one or the other.
You don't have to get the Daniel Jones thing done before you know what you're going to do with
No, not necessarily. That was something personal that Daniel wanted to do. Again, I didn't really get into it, but we had never had any conversations with CAA. We didn't. They have no idea what value we thought. I have no idea what they would ask. Like, that was totally separate. We have a great relationship with CAA, great relationship with Athletes First. We had just never even embarked on any type of negotiations, numbers, anything. That was just something, Daniel decided to do on his own. And then once, there was a separation, then, we started talking with Athletes First, once that had been done.
Joe, are you optimistic about getting deals done with both of them?
Yeah, I would say cautiously optimistic. I mean, it's again, you have to go through hard times before you come out the other end on better times with negotiations. So we're trying to work through it. Obviously, we'd like to have them both back. They know how we feel about both of them, and again, we're still working through it.
How much urgency is there to at least get one of them done before the tag deadline?
There is, but it's got to be right for both parties. I mean, it's there's, again, I say it all the time with you guys. If-then scenarios, we're going through those. So if it gets out of hand and it's out of our comfort zone, we have the tag. We can only tag one player. We'll use that, and if somebody's got to walk, then it's unfortunate, but that's a part of the business, and we're still building a team, and that's important to keep in mind.
Joe, do you have any doubt that
No.
so doesn't get stuck with tag?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Could you use tag as placeholder, or once you tag them, it's kind of like
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of options. Yeah, we have a lot of options.
Joe, Saquon's made clear that he sees himself and Daniel as
Yeah.
work so well together. Do you see them that way?
Yeah, I would love to have them both back. Yeah, I think they work well with each other. Their entire careers in the NFL, they've been together. I do think they complement each other well, and we're trying to. We've had productive conversations with both the representatives, and again, the goal is to hopefully get something done.
People talk about Saquon, sometimes we go back to injuries, that kind of thing, the longevity of a running back.
Mhm.
But do you, in your mind, see him as more valuable than quote unquote just what he does on the football field?
No, I mean, I think in the negotiations, you take all that into account, or you wouldn't approach the player on a contract extension. So, yeah, I mean, Walter Payton, Man of the Year, I love that about him, but you also got to look at production, durability, games played, production versus other comps throughout the league, and that's usually where they land from a financial standpoint. And, again, you got to draw a line in the sand, like we're not going any further, and if it goes past this, all right, let's shift to plan B. And again, hopefully we don't get to that, but we went through all those plans.
Joe, if you have Daniel on the tag, does that change how you look at quarterbacks in this draft class if you have him on 1 year versus if you have a multi-year deal worked out with him?
No, I don't think so. We're going to try to get Daniel done. Again, we wouldn't be in this situation and negotiating with Daniel if we didn't want him to be our quarterback.
Joe, last year, in your job, you had to make hard decisions about letting the players go.
Mm-hmm.
How different is the job now getting with guys that you built a relationship with that you don't want to see go, but you have to have those same hard conversations?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of this business because, it was a special season last year. It was Dave's and I's first year, and we did become close with a lot of the players, and they all worked hard. We had very good team chemistry, from day one when we got in there in the off-season program. So you appreciate the hard work that they put in every day. You appreciate the guys playing through injury, putting in the extra to execute the assignments. So there is a personal, part of this, and there's a business side. So, I mean, there may be some players that we don't get back because of financial reasons or we couldn't agree on something. But that definitely doesn't change the way we think about them or the love and respect that we have for those guys.
Joe, at what point did you realize, all right, Daniel, listen?
Yeah, it was an ongoing process. Again, we evaluated every game that he played all the way up until through the playoffs, and again, I think we felt good at the end of the season that he's the guy that we'd like to bring back moving forward and be our guy. Yeah, no, we haven't totally bridged. We're a little bit closer. There's still a gap, or we haven't done. So, yeah, we'll still work through that. And again, he's we're working with Rock Nation and Kim, his agent, and have a great relationship with her, and I have had for a long time. So we've had really good communication, and she does a great job. And we'll see if we can bridge the gap here at some point. I can't tell you that. Then they know. We're going to try to bridge the gap. Yeah, I can't tell you. I can't give it all away. Yeah, I think Isaiah came in, and he's the guy we drafted when we were in Buffalo, and we're familiar with him. Smart, tough, dependable, good worker. He knew the offense. He came in. He could play 4 spots, and he went out and performed the way we thought he would. So yeah, that was an important piece. That was an important pickup. Again, great job by the pro department identifying him when he became available, and the timing was right, and he did a heck of a job for us. So yeah, it was important. Yeah, all avenues. Again, we had a good season. We still have several holes on both sides of the ball, so we still have a ways to go and several holes to fill. So I understand there's somewhat of a obsession with the receiver position, and again, we still have to build a team. That's an important position. I get that, but the value has to match up, and we still have several other holes that we need to fill. In 2024, we have some guys. You got to look down the road. Who's up next year? What's coming down the pipeline as you build the team, not just for 2023, but down the road. Yeah, this week will be a big. All the UFAs, and then anybody like Dexter, Joel Siegel's his agent. We've had conversations with him. That's a little bit trickier, the DT market, when you look at the gap in between the highest paid and then the next guy. So. But Dexter's great, leader, great player, did a good job for us this year. So he's definitely somebody that, we'll talk to, and I'd like to have him here for a long time. Yeah, we'll see if it comes to that. We're hoping we don't get to where it's one or the other. It doesn't have to be that way. If it did, we wouldn't be have contract offers out to both of them. So it's not necessarily we have to. One's getting tagged. Ideally, that doesn't happen, and you get them both done. That's going to be better for the organization, and I think it'll be better for Daniel, and I think it'll be better for Saquon if we can get deals done without having to use the franchise tag.
Joe, how much does that
It does. Yeah, it does, and that's something everybody realizes. I don't think the franchise. If you have to franchise Daniel, I don't think that's best for the organization. I don't believe it's best for Daniel, especially as we try to build the team around him, and questions about receiver and other positions on the other side of the ball where we may need depth. So it does hurt you a little bit in terms of the team building process, but we're prepared if that's a scenario that we're faced with, and we have a plan B, and we'll try to execute that best we can.
Daniel side open to that, or is it that's your problem?
Yeah, I don't want to get into specifics of the negotiations, but we're prepared if we have to to go down that avenue.
So how much of this is bringing him back? He improved this year,
Yeah.
but there's still so much more for him to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. Daniel did have a good year, and he'll be the first to tell you, there's still a lot of meat left on the bone and room for improvement. And Daves will tell you that. The coaching staff will tell you that. He came a long way. He's still 25, and again, I still think there's room for improvement, as he continues to mature and be around the staff. I think the continuity of the staff, getting Kafka back, Shea interviewed for a coordinator job, but getting those guys back, our entire offensive staff will be back except for Tony Sperano, Jr., the assistant O-line coach. But, same with the defense. The entire defensive staff's coming back. So I think continuity, year two, familiarity with the system will be that much further ahead as we go into the off-season program. And I think everybody will benefit from that, especially Daniel.
Joe, for years you were the focus.
Yeah, amen.
That singular focus is gone, right? You still put an emphasis on this draft. In moving forward for this team, how important is the draft itself?
Yeah.
Can you bide your time between contract negotiations, guys you may want to bring back, agency?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question, Art. And I'm still trying to feel my way through it. Like, this was the first in season as a general manager, so at this time normally I have fourth round and above. I've seen all the free agents. As an assistant GM, you've got time where you're uninterrupted in your office. So I'm still catching up on that stuff. I have a great staff. Obviously, negotiations take part of your time. Coaches' contracts. So there's a lot of other things that are pulling me away from the film. But I'm in a good spot. Again, I have a good staff that leads me in the right direction and kind of filters the information of who I need to look at. But we're going to have to build through the draft, especially financially. If you have to use the franchise tag or whatever, we're still going to have to build through the draft and have those young, cost-controlled players over 4 years. It's going to be important to have those players that can contribute. And our class did a good job this year. I think we're fourth or fifth in rookie play time, so a lot of valuable experience. From the rookies and some guys coming back from injuries that we'll be expecting big year twos from.
How do you evaluate the Kayvon Thibodeau game for you as a rookie, and what did he get for you?
Yeah, Kayvon was again, he was injured in the preseason, and then slowly kind of came on. Once he became more familiar with the system and was healthy. So I was pleased with Kayvon. Leadership in the locker room. You guys have been around him. His personality, he's got a big personality. So his work ethic and the way he's wired, I expect him to continue to ascend. But he was everything we thought he'd be his rookie year. Yeah, I think we made a concerted effort. I think last year when I stood up here, we had 5 healthy offensive linemen maybe or something like that. We have 14 under contract, I think, next year. Majority of those guys have started NFL games. McKeithen hasn't, but, from Azudu to Jack Anderson, Tyree Phillips, we have really good depth. It won't prevent us from, if there's a guy out there in the interior that we would want to sign, from doing that. But I think we have some pieces there. Glowinski's at right guard, but center and left guard, it's going to be good competition this offseason.
Joe, when you're evaluating quarterbacks, whether it was back in Buffalo and Josh was coming out, or this past year with Daniel, how do you balance betting off their physical traits versus what they put on tape?
Yeah, I think it's important to evaluate the physical traits, but then there's also, to me, that position's in a total different stratosphere because you have to evaluate the person, how they learn, their instincts, how they process information. To me, that's way more important than you can watch the film and see one thing, but the makeup of the kid, I think, is way more important. And it mirrors up, I think that's when you got a good quarterback.
From your perspective, what makes Davis Webb already kind of ready for
Coach Davis. Yeah, it's funny because in 2019 we signed into our practice squad in Buffalo, and he was unique that he would be upstairs hanging with the personnel department. He would do, he was already coaching at the time, basically. He would take the practice squad guys down there, show them the film. He'd play safety at, I don't know if people know this, but he'd play safety in Buffalo to give looks for Josh, as a scout team guy. He was already coaching. Super smart. I think that's why he was able to go out and execute the way he did in the Eagles game. But I love Davis, great guy. Couldn't be happier for him. He's going to be a hell of a coach and even a better person. So, yeah, we've known he's going to be a coach for a while, though.
Hey, Joe,
Your offensive line depth. How do you feel about your defensive line depth? Obviously, you've got a premier players.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about your depth at that?
Yeah, not great. And that's a premium position. Again, there's, again, talk about allocating resources to positions. It's important. We got to be better next year stopping the run. And, I think some of that is our depth where Dexter doesn't have to play the amount of snaps he has to play, or, Leo doesn't have to be out there as much as he was out there. So, yeah, it's important, not just there, but across the board. We need to improve the depth on both sides of the ball.
Hey, Joe, how much did your time with Brandon in Buffalo shape your first season on the job this past year?
A lot. I would have been swimming if it wasn't for Brandon. So I was fortunate that, he put me in his hip pocket, for my entire time there. And, again, he came up, kind of in the football operations early on before he shifted into the evaluation and the scouting. So he had a different perspective for 15 or so years of running an organization and being a leader across all facets. So whether it's right now contract negotiations, a lot of times people want to, the GM that their team drafts the best. There's so much more to the job that I would have no idea about if it wasn't for Brandon. So I think I reflect a lot back to 2017 when we were in Buffalo. Some of the waiver wire claims, Isaiah McKenzie's still there, but guys like that, where you could, I said at my opening press conference, compete today and build for tomorrow. The way to acquire players, even in 18 when we had $50 million in dead cap space, like how to acquire players and still be competitive roster when maybe you're a little bit hamstrung in terms of some of the resources. So that was all things I took forward, to this year, and some of it paid off with some of the waiver wire claims and guys that we were able to get.
Speaking of that waiver wire claim, will you jump back into that Bills pool with a buttload of free agents?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know how much money we're going to have at the end of it with some of our own. But, yeah, I mean, there's a comfort level with, if you're paying a certain amount of money for players and, you're going to invest them, that you already have some background information. That's not Buffalo. That could be Mark Glowinski last year we signed from Indianapolis. Well, Bobby Johnson had coached him. So if there's some familiarity, you're not putting a large chunk of money into an unknown commodity, as important as football character and personal character is to our organization. Yeah. Yeah, Dave's is great about that. Again, he wants guys that can separate. If you can separate, no matter how tall, short, wide, whatever it may be, if you can separate. And as a quarterback, you prefer that. You'd rather throw to a guy that's open versus a guy that's, being covered by a DB. So, if they can separate, again, we'll find a way to utilize them within the offense, whether it's outside or inside the slot. But I think that's one of the unique skills that Dayball has, is taking the players and their skill set that he has and then developing the offense around their skill set.